What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about the key ratings that are given to you on the scouting update in Madden 22 and why they aren't necessarily what you want to be looking at whenever you're scouting players within the game. As we go through here, you're going to notice some things that are important for players under their key ratings, as well as not so important for players under their key ratings. One example that I want to start with here is this right guard, FARGAS. And under key ratings, we have one attribute revealed for this player. We've only scouted this player 40%, and we have a couple of minor skills unlocked that we can see for this player. However, there is an important factor here going on that might be tricking people at a surface level into thinking a player is better than they are. You would think that under the key ratings section right there would represent the most important ratings for that player at that position. However, when we look at a right guard, for example, the key ratings are listed as awareness, impact block, pass block, and run block. And immediately, if you are experienced at the game, you should notice that those are not the 5 most important ratings to an offensive lineman within the game, and there are more important ratings to you that you're going to want to know. And so this can get tricky for users that are maybe less experienced and don't know every single key rating at every single position within the game. I've done multiple series here on the channel talking about the most important ratings at each position, but for a right guard, for example, who is going to be primarily a run blocker, not often tasked with pass blocking an opponent unless it's an interior defensive lineman who is generally going to be less fit, we shouldn't even be looking at pass block for a left guard or a right guard. And that is one of the most key examples here. Yeah, your awareness is going to be important for a guard, your impact blocking and your run blocking are going to be important for a guard, but for a guard, you're going to want to pay more attention to their physical ratings over here, whether they have good speed, agility, and acceleration so that they can get their butts moving, because guards are going to be pulling for you and going upfield to block linebackers. But more importantly than that, they are generally run blocking players, and we need them to be good at run blocking within the game. So the most important stats that we're going to be looking for are run blocking, run block finesse, and run block power. Now, the other issue that I want to highlight here is that this is going to vary depending on what your team does. Maybe you are a pass-heavy offense. In that case, you're going to want to be focusing on pass block power, and pass block finesse. You're not going to care about the impact blocking, run blocking, or maybe even awareness of that offensive lineman. You're going to care about their pass blocking stats above all else. If you're looking for a traditional guard, like I said, you're going to be looking for their run blocking ratings and their athleticism ratings, and another stat that is not keyed in here is going to be their strength rating. That is going to be factored in under their physicals here, under where you'll see the physical ratings and the combine ratings whenever those finally pop up. So you do want to keep that in mind, that that is still going to be one of the most important stats you can unveil for a player. Some of these other physicals are as well at this position specifically, and those are not going to show up under the key ratings tab. And a final little comment on this section is that this is going to vary team by team on what your key ratings are. The game is always going to key in on the same key ratings, so you definitely want to make sure that you go to the skills tab and take your time to scout everything that you have unlocked for that player, because this key ratings tab is not always going to give you important information that is pertinent to your team. You could be a totally pass heavy team that doesn't run the ball much. Then you're going to want to know your player's pass block power and pass block finesse, which are never going to show up under key ratings. Likewise, you could be looking for a traditional guard, as I mentioned, and be looking for run block power and run block finesse, and those aren't going to show up under key ratings either. Just to cover some of the most notable ratings that are left off of the key ratings section within a player's player card under the new scouting update. For quarterback, for example, we are missing awareness completely. Now, that's not to say that throw accuracies deep, mid, short, and throw under pressure are not important, but a player's awareness is going to heavily impact their ability to make the correct throws. I do believe that that should be included on their key ratings, and you might get tripped up because you might pick a player that has really good accuracies, but maybe that player has really low throw power and really low awareness, and they can't complete their passes anyway because you were tricked into thinking that this player was going to be better than they originally are. At wide receiver, for example, it's keying in on catch in traffic, catching, deep route running, and release. Some of those are incredibly important, but your deep route running is not necessarily always going to be the most important rating for you as a wide receiver. Very often, your short route running or medium route running or maybe your spectacular catch are going to be more important to a team than your deep route running. In fact, personally, I pass the ball short, and I never pay attention to a player's deep route running when I'm looking to draft them. I'm more so looking for a player that can run short underneath routes and medium routes, and therefore the key rating for wide receivers may also skew your view on who's going to be good for your team or not. One of the ratings that is actually pretty bizarre to me is the deep route running as a key trait under tight ends. Tight ends in the NFL and tight ends in the game are going to be primarily running short and medium routes. Very rarely are they actually going to run a deep route, and for some reason, under key ratings, deep route running is going to be one of their top 4 key ratings. Don't be fooled by that. For left tackles, you are going to want a pass blocker 99% of the time. The fact that pass block finesse is not listed here is absolutely crazy. Pass block finesse is maybe by far the most important rating for a left tackle within Madden because they're going to be going up against the best finesse rushers in the game. We already talked a little bit about left guards and right guards. They are more agile players and players that you want to get moving downfield. We don't care as much about their pass blocking. Likewise, we don't care about the pass blocking of a center. In addition to that, centers are almost always, and I mean 99% of the time, going to be going up against a power style player across from them, whether it's a D tackle or a defensive end in a 3-4. They're going to be going up against a power rusher most of the time, meaning that you're going to want to have power blocking against those guys. So for a center, the 2 most important blocking traits are potentially run block power and pass block power, and again, neither of those show up on a center's key traits. The game is doing you a massive disservice at left end and right end because they are keying in on finesse moves and power moves for these players. However, there are big differences between power defensive ends and finesse defensive ends, and you're losing out on a key rating there for one or the other. They should absolutely be separated, and if a player is a power rusher, finesse moves shouldn't show up on here, and if a player is a finesse rusher, power moves shouldn't show up on here. There should definitely be a differentiation between interior and edge defensive linemen. However, that is not the case, and don't be fooled by those ratings there. Some people that are newer to the game might look at finesse and power moves and see one is good and one is bad and not take that player because of that. These players are generally going to be good in one and not the other, so certainly don't let that fool you into thinking a player is better or worse than they actually are. Likewise, at the defensive tackle position, we're going to be looking at primarily power move players, primarily power rushers. Occasionally, you'll get an interior defensive lineman that is solid at finesse moves, but it certainly should not be considered a top key rating for the defensive tackle position. I could think of multiple others that would better fit there, such as play recognition or something along those lines that is going to more influence what these players are actually doing. Another disservice that the game is doing you is at outside linebacker, you're going to get primarily traditional linebacker ratings. You're never going to get edge rusher ratings here. As you can see, block shedding, pursuit, tackle, zone coverage, and you're also missing out on some important ratings for those types of players such as awareness and things like that. So if you looked at left outside linebackers and right outside linebackers and were looking for a pass rusher, you would probably never find one if you didn't go past past the initial scouting report here. In order to find those players, you have to go to their skills tab and try to find if you have the finesse moves or power moves scouted for these players. So you definitely want to make sure that if you're looking for that type of an outside linebacker, a pass rushing outside linebacker, you do a lot of due diligence to make sure that you scout out their full skills list and don't pay attention to their key ratings list. At middle linebacker, it's actually kind of crazy to see that the most important traits here are block shedding, pursuit, tackle, and zone coverage, and we are completely leaving off the list awareness and play recognition, which are maybe the most important traits for a middle linebacker. Those traits are going to determine how well a linebacker reads a play and gets to where they need to go and reacts to what's happening in front of them on the offense, and for those to be left off here is another disservice. You definitely want to make sure if you're scouting middle linebackers that you go see their full skill set before you make a decision on a player. On a very similar note, taking a look at cornerbacks, I can understand where they went with this, gauging catching, man coverage, zone cover, and press. However, I would argue that awareness and play recognition are going to be far more important than catching for a defensive back, considering interceptions aren't going to happen that often anyway. Yeah, you do want a DB to be able to catch the football, but I would say you would also want them to be able to react to what the offense is doing and make sure that they're not 10 yards out of position, which is what awareness and play recognition are going to do for you. So you definitely want to make sure you scout their full skill set as well. Next up, maybe one of the most bizarre key ratings of any position is going to be free safety and strong safety. Number one, these are two positions that very often have different skill sets altogether, a free safety being a coverage player and a strong safety being more of a box or run support type of a player. For both free safety and strong safety, the key ratings are listed as hit power, man coverage, tackle, and zone coverage, and I can immediately spot various issues with this. Number one, hit power. Yes, it matters for safeties, but it's going to matter a whole lot more for your strong safety than your free safety, who is going to be expected more so to be good in zone coverage and not coming up to level people and lay big hits on players that have the ball. Additionally, free safeties and strong safeties are going to be in zone coverage 99% of the time in the game. There are actually very few plays within the game that allow a free safety or strong safety to be in man coverage unless you manually adjust them. Man coverage for free safeties and strong safeties has been absolutely broken in the game forever. You could have a free safety or a strong safety with 99 man coverage, 99 press, 99 awareness, and 99 play recognition, and they would still get burnt by a 70 overall tight end. It's just how it works. They're programmed not to be able to cover in man. So those combinations of factors lead me to believe that man coverage shouldn't be on this list whatsoever for free safety or strong safety. And in addition to that, we should have completely different skill sets for free safeties and strong safeties in terms of key ratings, with free safeties being more focused on coverage and strong safeties being more focused on run support. And as we approach the ending of this video and the coverage of all of these different positions, it really gets me wondering, is the scouting report tab even useful to you at all? The player notes section does offer you some helpful information as to a player's actual traits, but it's not going to give you any particular insight into that player or how they're going to play or what their overall is going to be. It's just going to tell you whether they have the big hitter trait or things of that nature, and it's also just going to tell you their height, weight, and age. Their age is obviously going to be incredibly important, but I almost am starting to think that everything on this page is almost useless to you, and what you want to do when you're scouting players is go directly to their physicals or skills tab to get the most detailed information and pick and choose which information you actually want to look at, because these scouting report pages really just don't seem to be all that helpful and don't really seem to be all that related to the positions that they're actually listed for. With all that being said, hopefully you found this information in this video useful or informative or entertaining in some way. If you did, please leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here for more great content, and comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.